Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, text 19. Bahunam janmanam ante gnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudevah sarvam iti samahatma sudurlabha. So Krishna says that a real gnani, gnanavan, one who is said to be a gnanavan, one second. So one who is said to be a gnanavan is one who mam prapadyate, one who surrenders to me after giving up his mental speculation and trying to understand knowledge about absolute truth and having not concluded anything significant. Finally, he comes to the understanding that Vasudeva Sarvam iti. Vasudeva, Krishna is everything. And he surrenders. Prapadyate, Mam Prapadyate. He is a Gnanavan. And it may take many, many births. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. And to get that Mahatma, that kind of a Mahatma, that kind of a person is very, very rare. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, among all living entities, human species is very, very valuable. And among human beings, the Varnashram Dharma followers, or one who follows the Karma Kanda, regulations in scriptures, they are called Karmis. They are rare. And among Karmis, to find Gnani is rare. And among Gnanis, Gnani means, Karmi means basically they are interested in sense gratification, but they follow some scriptures to do regulated sense gratification. Gnani means he understands sense gratification is bad. And therefore he tries to understand who he really is. And then among those Gnanis, to actually find a liberated person is very rare. And among those who are liberated, liberated means who really understood that he is different from this body. He is not this body. Nothing in this world belongs to him. He is spiritual. So, among those mukta persons, to find a pure devotee who understands the position of Krishna, the position of himself, is very, very rare. That is why Krishna is saying, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gnanavan Mam Prapadyate. So, out of many, many liberated persons, the pure devotee of Krishna is picked up. One out of many, many liberated persons. That is the position of a pure devotee of Krishna. Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Bhagavat Tattva, the truth of absolute truth, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. One who understands absolute truth is impersonal, that is Brahman. One has to go even higher, Paramatma. And when one comes to the Bhagavan understanding that absolute truth is actually personality, and everything is his subordinate energy. Brahman and Paramatma are also features of him. And when one comes to that realization of Bhagavan, that is called Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam. And one who understands that he is a Mahatma, very, very rare. Koti Mukta Madhye Durlabha Krishna Bhakta. So Krishna Bhakta is found very, very rare. So a true Gnani, according to this verse, is somebody who understands Krishna and surrenders to Krishna. And so Prabhupada said, if that is so rare, if a Gnani who tries to accumulate knowledge after many, many births and finally surrenders to Krishna is very, very rare, why don't you take it immediately if it is told to you, surrender to Krishna? And a Gnani after many, many births surrenders to Krishna. Why don't you surrender? That advantage is there with you right now. Why we have to wait many, many births? Like a Gnani typically starts from assimilating knowledge, like a typical scientist. The scientists are all trying to understand what is the cause of everything. How did we come into existence? A Big Bang has produced. What is the cause of that Big Bang? From that point, which they define as nothing, just can you imagine their theory that everything comes from nothing? Because they cannot define that nothing. Because the moment you define that nothing, that definition becomes part of this matter, which is produced from that nothing. How can that nothing be made of the same thing that it produced? So they say that, oh, it's a point of infinite heat, infinite energy, and cannot measure, it's immeasurable, which is not made of time, space, and matter. So they can only speculate like that. They cannot show or prove. That's only a theory. Because they cannot conceive that which is beyond time, space, and matter. So it's just like, for example, a person who lost his keys. He took a hotel room. So he found that the moment he came into the room, he lost his keys. So he had to go back to his car and he didn't find the keys. So definitely he remembers that he brought the keys with him in the car. So he might have dropped them somewhere along the path from the car to that of his room. So, but it was night time. So how does he look for the keys? So he was walking along and he was looking at the places where, along the pedestrian path, there'll be lamp posts which lit the path. So around those lamp posts, he was looking whether the key is here, the key is here, the key is here, because there is nowhere else he could look. And then he concluded that he, the key is not at all here. So he went and found another key. I mean, got a replacement key from the lobby. And then he opened the door and went inside. But in the morning, he saw when he was walking to the car, the key that he lost was lying there, right on the pedestrian path that he dropped, which he concluded that, oh, I wouldn't have dropped. There's no way that the key would be here. The point is, if you conclude based on your imperfect senses that there is no God or there is no reason beyond this material existence, there is nothing beyond this material existence. Sometimes they say that, oh, this is ever existing, this universe is ever existing. It is like our senses can only see those portions which are lit by the light, and anything beyond that I cannot see. You cannot conclude that there is nothing there. So that is our limitation of our material senses. So with our material knowledge, we cannot understand God. We cannot catch God. Atah Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyaihi sevonmukhehi jihvadau Swayameva Spuratyadaha. So Sri Krishna, his name, his qualities, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, his abode, none of that we can understand with our current blunt material senses. How a person who looks like you and me, having senses like you and me, can be God who can control this entire material manifestation. What to speak of this, these big planets, one planet in this, maintaining this planet, not just this planet, but big universes. We cannot conceive how a ordinary person looking like you and me, he is not ordinary person. That is why our senses cannot accommodate. The Gnani, he is so enamored, he cannot accommodate. How can a person looks like you and me can control like this? Can lift a mountain? Oh, this is all myth, mythology. Because we cannot accommodate. Our senses are defective. We need the right instruments. That is why we need to purify our senses. And then we can hope to understand God. If the knife is blunt, you cannot cut anything, isn't it? But when you sharpen the knife, then easily you can cut. So similarly, when you purify your senses, then I was saying the example of that light lamp post giving light, that light expands. So this process of purification is not material process. You can purify your body by taking bath using soap. But how do you purify your heart? How do you purify your senses within? Only God can purify that. And God's mercy can purify that. That is by chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By honoring Prasadam, by engaging in his service, our senses become purified. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam hrishikena hrishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. When we engage our senses in the service of the owner of the senses, hrishikena hrishikesha sevanam, then sarvopadhi vinirmuktam, our senses become purified. Slowly Krishna manifests. Actually, the Vedic scriptures say how the Big Bang happened. What is that point? The scriptures go ahead and give more information. Brahma Samhita reveals that. Yasyai kanishvashita kala madhavalambhya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanadha Vishnur mahansa ihayasya kala visesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So Mahavishnu lies down on this causal ocean, and from his bodily pores come out these universes when he breathes out, innumerable universes coming out. He gives opportunity for the spirit souls who rebelled against him, who want independent existence from him. He gives them a chance. Okay, you try to become God in this material manifestation. So he breathes out these universes. So it takes spiritual journey of faith, determination, and practice to practically realize this. Everything starts with faith. Even materially, everything has to have faith. Even if you have to believe in your journey that okay, this Google Maps is giving me the right path. Oh, I have to have faith. Sometimes it can deceive you also. I got deceived many times when it does not have enough coverage and data. It keeps showing the wrong path. So everything needs to have faith. But if, unless you believe it, you cannot progress, isn't it? Unless you have to go to a destination. You don't know anything, you don't know anybody. You have to believe in it. So you have to have faith in something sublime, God or his representative. So when we associate with a sadhu, a pure devotee, or pure devotees practicing sincerely Krishna consciousness, our faith increases. And if we associate with non devotees, that faith decreases. Like an atheist will always try to prove non existence of God. Like there was this man who wanted to prove God did not exist. So there was this devotee who was trying to convince him, but this atheist was vehemently arguing. And he was trying to show to everyone, I'll prove that God does not exist. And then he said, he gave a challenge. He said, if God really exists and God is really powerful as he should be, I challenge God. I'll stand here in front of you. Can he kill me in next 5 minutes? I'm giving him 5 minutes, not just 5 seconds. If God is really powerful. And then everybody stood in silence. They didn't know how to respond. And many said, yes, yes, that's a good point. If he's really powerful, he should be able to kill you. And then he stood for 5 minutes, nothing happened. And then he started to laugh and said, you see, God is not there. He's not, even if he is there, he's not powerful to kill me. So what kind of God he is? And so the devotee said, God is not your servant to come and do whatever you want. God, why would God, our own father, have you seen a father come and kill the child? Let's say the child, he does not believe in his father. If he's come out of the house for a long time and he is living somewhere outside and he has so much hatred against his father and he stands in front of people and says, my father is dead. I'll stand here, he cannot do anything. Why will the father come and kill the child? Because he loves him so much. Without him, nothing would happen. He is the one providing everything without being noticed. So, challenging like that only shows our ignorance. It only means we are assuming that God is our servant. It is like saying, let the sun come out right now. In the night, you know, the insect stands before its other insects and says, see, people say that there is this sunlight and sun and all that. Don't believe all of that. I'll stand here. Only when the sun comes and burns me with his light, then I'll believe the sun has come. Sun is there. You are so insignificant. Why will the sun come out for you? So this is unfortunate misunderstanding, illogical understanding of God. Sometimes people also say, show me God. Unless I see God, I cannot believe God. See, what is the power of our senses? For example, you see a, a thorny bush and it's actually hurting. I mean, you try to touch it and it pierces your skin and you're bleeding. And people don't even go near it. But from the thorny stem, can you imagine a beautiful rose flower coming out? It's very thorny, isn't it? Can you imagine such a beautiful thing exists inside that and eventually it's going to come out? If somebody were to say, you know, there is this beautiful rose inside, which is true. Unless you see it, say, let's say you didn't know that. That's a rose plant, or you didn't know about rose and how flowers come out from the stem. Would you say, you will say, anybody who is ignorant will say, "Oh, what kind of foolish man you are. It's such a nasty bush, thorny bush. How can such a beautiful thing exist inside?" But the rose will come out eventually, because we cannot foresee, we are not powerful to understand everything in this world. Our senses are so limited. One time a king asked a monk, "I like to see your god. How can I see? Only then I'll believe." So the monk said, "For you it is impossible. You cannot see God." And the king said, "Oh, impossible? Then why I should entrust my life to God if I cannot see him?" And, and then the monk said, "Okay, can you show me the pocket in which you have placed your love for your wife? Let me weigh that love in order to see how large it is." And then the emperor, the king, he found that question strange, and he said, don't be silly. How can love be in my pocket? No one can measure love or keep it in the pocket." And so the monk said to the emperor, "See, you cannot see love, isn't it? Love cannot be seen. But yet you are capable of loving your wife, and to the extent that you entrust your life to her. So there are certain things that we cannot see but still trust and feel. So don't try to see God with your limited senses. You feel God by the process given by God. You experience God. God can be seen, but not necessarily with your eyes at this stage. You can hear God by His holy name. When you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is hearing God. That is not different from seeing God. Serving God is tantamount to seeing God, because God is absolute. We may not understand it, but it is fact. The moment I say Krishna, Krishna is there, God is there on my tongue. Whether I chant the holy name or not, whether I understand Krishna is there or not. Like when Jagai and Madhai, these two criminals, sinful people, they were committing so many offenses and sinful activities. And eventually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered them, and they became great devotees. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one time went on a tour to Vrindavan, he stopped in between in a place called Ramakeli, that's in Bengal, the border of Bengal. And there, Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, at that time, they were acting as Muslims because of their association with Muslims. And they were the ministers of the king. And they come in disguise to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they surrender to him in their own kingly. Of course, they come in disguise, but they are still acting as ministers. And so they surrender and tell the Lord, "My Lord, you are so kind and compassionate to the fallen souls. You delivered Jagai Madhai." See, Jagai Madhai actually is in a very advantageous position than us. How? They were born in Brahmana families. They were living in Navadvip, the holy place. And the only fault they had was they were sinful. They had somehow or other addicted to sinful habits. But because they chanted a dim reflection of your holy name, all their sinful reactions were washed away. That is the power of just a dim reflection of your holy name. So you see the power they explain. The power of the holy name, if you chant, of course, if you chant with offenses, that is different. If you willingly chant, oh, let me chant the holy name and go on doing my sinful activities. But they were chanting ignorantly. They were chanting, who is this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Or what is this Hare Krishna? Like that. Even then they were purified. That is the power of God, non different from His holy name. You know how Srila Prabhupada, just by chanting the holy name and going to the park, and he would just sit and chant, and people would come, and their hearts were changed. Mlechas and Yavanas, who had no inkling, no idea about Vedic culture, just by chanting the holy name of the Lord, they became lovers of God, lovers of Krishna. So, what other proof we need that God exists in His holy name? So, God is there, not necessarily we can perceive with our eyes. Of course, we can see the deity, we can see the pictures of Krishna. But if you want to feel the experience God, the best way in our state right now is by hearing. There was one conversation with Prabhupada where this devotee was asking, because this verse is talking about surrendering to God. So, but this not devotee, the outsider, interviewer. Oh, what do you mean by surrender to God? Because he said, if I surrender, where is freedom? I want freedom. That is why people are all working for freedom. But if I surrender, where is freedom? So Prabhupada gave a beautiful example to answer his point. He said, let's say a child's freedom is to live completely under the shelter of his parents. Then he has freedom. He can play, he can go wherever. He's completely protected. He doesn't have to worry. He's happy, fully free. But without their protection, he will have no freedom. He will be only suffering. The child rebels and goes outside. Where is the freedom? He may think he is free. I don't have to surrender to my parents. But he'll be under so much of distress in this world. This is called misuse of our freedom. We are meant to be just like the child, dependent on our parent Krishna. Then only we'll be happy. Otherwise, in our own way, we are thinking, I can be God or I don't need God. This is our foolishness. So a Gnani really understands, yes, Vasudevaha Sarvamiti, my duty is to surrender to God. He is a real Mahatma. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.